What's up, y'all? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and in this episode, we're kind of just going to riff a little bit. I've got some bullet points on things I want to hit. I've got some good news for you. I've got some bad news for you, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of news stories kind of in a nutshell, and I'm going to let you know other longer episodes that are upcoming. First and foremost, I'm on Extra Bulia with Uncle Warren tonight at 7 Eastern, so check that out. That should be fun. We're just going to be talking shit and hanging out. Now, I felt like I needed to come on today and address something that I've been seeing more and more online, and something that I've been seeing in myself a lot lately, which is like the unbelievable emotional stress and turmoil that people are undergoing right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with people are waking up and realizing how nasty and awful our country operates, which that's a good thing. But I also believe that a lot of it has to do with the mainstream media and the establishment trying to pit us against one another, and it is really, really rough for someone like me, and I know a bunch of other, creators that feel this way too, to watch us kind of tear at each other, especially if you're for solidarity of the working class and the poor. So it's been really rough the last couple of weeks, and I honestly, guys, I got to tell you, I had a pretty massive breakdown yesterday, actually, and it had nothing to do with that I haven't been on YouTube quite as much lately, because as you guys know, this is like my therapy. I'm talking to you guys. I do this because it helps me, but also because, you guys seem to enjoy it. And I feel like I'm making some people feel better. But not a lot of people have that, and everybody that is online all the time nowadays, I'm seeing a huge pattern with almost like post-traumatic stress. Everybody seems like they're at their wits' end. And I want to remind you guys that you should not become what Kyle Kalinske is labeling you. We are not nihilists, okay? There are going to be times as we go through this long fight together that you're going to feel like you want to give up. You just want to, let the system kick the shit out of you and disconnect. I don't think a lot of people have that in them. I don't certainly have that in me. So I want to remind you guys that it seems bad right now, but people are waking up. And part of the reason that you're seeing like this massive, chaotic awakening, so to speak, is because people are becoming aware of how bad things are. And even though that sucks, and it's going to create psychosis for a lot of us poors that are at our wits' end, that it is a necessary step to getting us to where we need to be, which is angry enough to fight against what is causing that psychosis. So there is silver lining there, and I don't allow myself to become nihilistic on this stuff, even on my worst days. So I've recovered a little bit, and I decided to make this video for myself and for you guys. I have some good news, because we always got to focus on some good things that are happening in this country. One of them is in Buffalo, New York, the first ever Starbucks store voted to unionize. Now, it's not finalized quite yet, not finalized, but it seems that the numbers are overwhelming enough that they have, in fact, voted to unionize in Buffalo, New York. I will post a link to that, and I might even do a separate episode on it. Now, you guys know how I feel about these people, these union efforts and their victories. They're too few and far between. So I call this a victory the same way I call the John Deere victory, where they struck and got better pay, stuff like that. It's not enough, though. We have to keep the pedal to the metal. So, in and of itself, this is a drop in the bucket. It's not really terribly helpful, except for the people that happen to work at that store. We need more. So what I would love to see is that union, that new union at the Starbucks, strike regularly, convince other people that work at other Starbucks in the area to do the exact same thing you did, and then convince them to convince other people. We need a wave of union efforts and strikes. It's if you just do it for your own sake and we don't make this a movement, then these little union victories aren't really victories. They're just, they're victories for the people that happen to work at that store. But if we don't have a movement, a wave of union strikes, people are never really going to get paid what they deserve. They're just going to always have to negotiate with their bosses. So we got to show some solidarity, unite, and have way more little victories like this. but it is good news. So congratulations to the Starbucks workers in Buffalo, New York. And then the other great news that came out was Steve Donziger just tweeted that he is released from jail. So if you guys don't know him, he's the Chevron lawyer. He sued Chevron back in the day, back in the 90s, for all of the oil dumping and disastrous things that they were doing to the rainforest in Ecuador. He sued them for $9.5 billion and won in court. So since then, Chevron has taken everything that they had out of Ecuador, refused to pay that roughly $10 billion, and instead has run an enormously expensive and long-term PR campaign to smear Donziger and to get him in trouble. And in fact, he was on house arrest for 2 years for no reason. For no reason. They held him in contempt of court because he wouldn't turn over his personal computer, was what they were holding him on. And he just went to jail for a while, a couple of months, but he is now out. They are allowing him to stay the remainder of his sentence, which is 136 days, at home. Now, that's not really, again, it's not really a huge victory. I'm glad that he's not in, prison anymore. But again, the punishment that he's getting is completely unwarranted. So he should never have been in jail in the first place. So it's like, at best, it's a tie. So congratulations to Steve. I am very happy that he is, in fact, out. That makes me happy, but he's still on house arrest for the foreseeable future, next couple of months anyways. So still, that is some good news. Now, there are some other things that are worrying me a little bit more. As you guys know, Julian Assange, whether or not he's going to be extradited to the U.S. is up in the air, and we will know about that tomorrow. So I'm going to do an episode on that, probably two. One tonight or tomorrow, and then another one after we find out what actually happens to him. This was one of the main reasons I had a very rough day yesterday and had a little panic attack over all this stuff. I'm petrified for Julian, and I'm petrified for what it means for censorship for all of us if it turns out that he doesn't, knock on wood, if he gets extradited to the U.S. I do worry very much for his mental stability. As someone that understands what it's like being in this atmosphere of being involved with politics and fighting all the time and arguing and paying attention to all of the horrible shit that's happening, and then look at what's happened to Julian and how long he's been doing what he's doing in isolation, and with the entirety of the United States and the CIA doing everything they can to destabilize his mental stability. I mean, a lot of the damage that could have been done to Julian, that is possible to do to Julian, has already been done. So I do very much want to keep fighting and make sure that nothing more happens to him, and I would love to get him out, and we need to be resolute in making sure that that happens, but I do worry. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's not great news, but maybe we'll get lucky. And basically, this kind of brings me to my last point. Like, what was it? I was feeling kind of down about myself, and I know that so many other people out there are also feeling similarly. You feel like you're being bombarded with horrible news all the time. If it's not the Build Back Better bill being strangled to death by the Democrats, particularly Sinema, Manchin, and Joe Biden, if it's not Roe v. Wade, if it's not Rittenhouse or Ghislaine Maxwell and the Jeffrey Epstein trial, if it's not, I don't know, there's just so many other things going on. The U.S. meddling in foreign elections and imposing sanctions on countries left and right. We're approving more arms sales to Saudi Arabia so they can bomb Yemen. I understand how you feel, and I worry about everybody, but at the same time, remember, this is what got me through. No matter how hard this stuff gets, we learned this in Man's Search for Meaning. You always have a choice about how you react to what is traumatizing you. You always have a choice on how you react to your surroundings, and no matter how bad things get, you still can choose to take on trauma and take on this horrible world. And if you're state of mind is strong enough, and if you can convince yourself that you have the power to do so, what you do is you just say, I'm not giving up. I don't give a damn how hard this gets. I don't care how disgusting this world gets. I'm not going to give up. And if anything, it makes me more motivated to stop the world from becoming more disgusting and traumatizing. So I don't know if you guys have seen Cinderella Man. You know, Russell Crowe plays James Braddock, and he's fighting Max Baer in the title fight, and Baer's the huge favorite and just laying into him. And there's a part in that fight where he hits James Braddock, the Cinderella Man, so hard that his mouth guard flies out with all this blood on it, and it lands on the tarp or whatever. And what Jimmy Braddock did was he just smiled over at Max Baer, went over, didn't break eye contact, and put the mouth guard back in. And that's the way I choose to do things. And you know what happened? Max Baer saw him smiling and putting that mouth guard back in after having just taken his best shot and not laying down, and he was afraid. So in the end, what I'm asking from all of you guys is to get involved. Do whatever you can. It doesn't have to be like what I have tried to get started with Political Fight Club, which is try to do your own show, help unite people online, and do some activism and connect with people and get the word out about everything. It doesn't have to be that. Just get involved some way, because it will make you feel better. It will. We all need to do this anyways, and time is short, and things are really, really bad right now. So roll with the punches and don't give up. We're going to get there. They're going to hit us along the way. You're going to feel crazy and worn out, and like there is no end to this. But there is. There's only no end to all of this turmoil if we keep doing what we're doing now, which is kind of just sitting on our asses and getting the shit kicked out of us. But if I may drop another pop culture reference, from Any Given Sunday, Al Pacino, the coach of the football team, we have a choice. We can stay here and get the shit kicked out of us, or we can claw our way back to the light. We can climb out of hell. That's an easy decision for me. So I know it sucks right now, and it's a really scary time, and I want to remind you guys that you do always have a choice in how you react and what you decide to do with the trauma that this life is going to give you, particularly if you're growing up in America and you happen to be, my age or especially a little bit younger. It doesn't look good for us, but we don't give up, do we? And then on another note, I think I broke Ben Dixon's head. I think I broke his mind. I saw some psycho shit where he was like, I didn't even really watch the clip, but apparently he went a little bit viral for some vaccine stuff. Good. I'm going to climb into that psyche and live there forever. So that's some good news, I suppose. Ben Dixon's on the verge, even though he's got a ton of money, he's on the verge of flipping the fuck out because, he's got a floundering channel and he really wants to be part of the elites, but they won't accept him. It's not like I made a lot of jokes about that, did I? Yeah, I did. I made a lot of jokes about that. So, I don't know if it's because of me, but I like to think it had something to do with me. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm going to do another episode on Julian Assange. I'm going to do another episode, which I've been, I actually have it written out, but I haven't actually filmed it, on Tara Reid and Joe Biden and how Cuomo and his defenders tried to use the same playbook that Biden used with Tara Reid against Lindsey Boylan for victim shaming. So I've got that as well, and I've got one other episode planned. And again, I'm going to be on Extra Booyah tonight with Uncle Warren. It's tough now, guys, but Donziger's free. Some unions are actually forming. Maybe we have like a soft general strike going now. We are not political nihilists. We take this trauma and we're going to turn it into progress. I love you guys. Keep fighting that good fight out there.